Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, April 17th. Markets are off to a red start so far with QQQ down 0.1%. We're looking at SPY flat at the moment, currently trading at 412.50. And we just had Schwab posting earnings this morning, coming in with a double miss at 90-cent earnings per share versus 93 expected. In the revenue ended up coming in, let's see, it's a slight miss on revenue. 5.12 billion versus 5.21 billion expected. So Schwab missed earnings, so leading the downside at down 1.5% so far today. I think this will probably close below 50 today, will be my guess, but there is some sort of buying pressure roughly around here at about 48.50. So we'll see what happens there. But again, markets are down. QQQ 0.2%, SPY 0.05%. The Dow is still managing positive at 0.05, and then IWM is up 0.25% as of right now. So looks like the risk on sentiment is on today with IWM up 0.25%, but we'll see if this ends up selling off since we did have a little bit of trading action in the after hours that did lead it up to where it is trading currently. But let's see. Let me head on over. I'm thinking about buying a QQQ put at the moment. Reason being that we have the 10-year treasury yield up almost at 3.6%. It is dropping currently, so we could see a rebound for QQQ if this ends up coming back to where it was Friday. But the dollar index is closing in on 102, and we haven't seen this price level for a few days, I guess. It was at 102 back on 412. And then if we end up holding this range above 102, then we could start to be bullish for the dollar index, which would definitely weigh negatively on QQQ especially. And then the higher 10-year treasury yield obviously would weigh negatively on them as well if it costs more to borrow capital at higher interest rates. Tech and growth names would be the hardest hit by that. So let's see. The 2-year yield is currently at 3.971. No, actually 4.15, up 4.5 basis points this morning, well above 4. So seeing both of the treasury yields up this morning, the major treasury yields, does seem like markets would pull back, but we are seeing some buying action right now for QQQ at 318.30 and SPY at 312.50. So we're kind of just hovering around break even at the moment. But fundamentally, I think markets would pull back. Markets haven't been listening to fundamentals as much lately. It just seems to be a buy the dip every single time. But I'm going to look for a QQQ long put option, taking on a trade, assuming that QQQ could go to, looks like it already tested that level, 317.50. There's going to be a lot of buying in this range between 317.60 and about 318.36. So watch out for this. There could be a reversal back to the top if there's enough buying pressure where all this volume is stepping in. And then your next upside target would be 318.74. One after that would be all the way at 319.70, which would almost be a new high for QQQ. But right now, we're at 50 on the RSI, so not really any momentum in either direction. Just kind of trading neutral at the moment. SPY, probably the same situation. Let's see. Support at 412.30. You're going to get some selling pressure probably at about 414 if we do go higher. And this 412.85-ish mark right here could be a selling point too. So we'll see how we manage these price levels that we're coming up on. All right, let's check QQQ. Kind of want to take the trade assuming that it'll be 319.70, but again, that's going against the fundamentals. Let's see if I can get it for cheap. Let's see. Currently, the 318 call option is going for 150, so your break even is 319.50. Assuming it's going to be above 318, I feel like right now you're kind of overpaying for it. I might be willing to buy it at like 140, 145. Right now it's trading at 160, so I feel like it's a little bit too expensive for my taste at the moment. But that would be a trade that I might take on, depending on how we go here and where the 10-year ends up pulling back to. Right now it's at 3.56. If we see this pulling back to like 3.54 at the highs of Friday, definitely could see a QQQ rally out of this. SPY's at 413 now, so we ended up passing that mark, and now we could be headed to 414 for SPY. Right now it's at 413. So if we look for a SPY call instead of a QQQ call, assuming 414 by the end of the day. We could buy the 413 call for 89 cents, so your break even is 413.88. Could get some selling pressure here between 413 and 413.50, but if we do end up breaking that range, we would definitely be seeing 414 by the end of the day. All right, I'm looking at buying a few of these. Currently, they're going for 90 cents a piece. I think 90 cents a piece is good. Paying anything more like 95 might be a little bit much, so try to wait a little bit. Now they're trading for 95 at the ask, so I'll wait it out a little bit here, see if I can get them cheaper. I might negotiate up to like 92, 93. All right, they're going for 93. Pulling back now. But yeah, definitely a lot of buying pressure on that opening candle. First couple of opening candles for the 5-minute chart right now. Despite the yield going up this morning, interesting enough. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Kelvy. Good morning, Kamala. Good morning, Irfan. Welcome, everybody. So you could either bet against the trend right now, which is up 57 on the RSI. Maybe you could short it down to 412.30, perhaps. Or you go with the trend and assume that it could be like 414 by the end of the day for SPY. And then for QQQ, same kind of situation. There's a lot of selling pressure up here between 318.90 and about 319.40. So if you end up breaking that, you could go to 319.70 at that resistance. And then to the downside, you could be going down to like 318.40. But right now we're pulling back for SPY, 412.90, and QQQ at 318.95. So QQQ seems to be having a little bit less of a pullback right now versus SPY. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with my original assumption this morning on bearish to neutral for today. And I'm going to take the trade assuming QQQ, maybe we could go, 318.40 would be obvious, but you would be paying a lot for that. Maybe you could see 318. There's another support at about 317.50 by the end of the day. All right, so the 319 put right now is going for 100. So your break even would be 318. So right about where this volume block kind of steps up. So let's watch. Again, fundamentals are going against this rally, but markets haven't been paying too much attention to the fundamentals as of lately. So we'll see how we shake out here. We have big earnings for this week. We have Netflix. We have Tesla reporting Tuesday and Wednesday. So we could have some anxiety going into those reports if they come in worse than expected, or you might just rally straight on into them, assuming that earnings are going to be great for big tech. They've been doing well since the beginning of the year, so why stop the rally now? And then maybe if earnings does come in worse than expected, then you'll get the flush afterward. But I would expect that there would be more anxiety going into it than what the markets are giving us. Looks like we're stepping into resistance at 319. These puts are going for 110, so now my break even is 317.90. A little bit too high on the break even there. I feel like so I might go with the 320 puts instead of the 319s and just order 2 of them instead of 3. They're going for 165 to 170 a piece. I think 165 is a good price. My break even would be 318.35. If I go with 170 a piece, it's 318.30, and now they're at 180 already. God damn. This market moves too quick for my hands. Okay. Yeah, it already flushed down. Missed that opportunity, unfortunately. Luckily, I have a QQQ call credit spread already betting on the downside. For the end of this week, assuming that we're going to be below the 319 mark that there's a lot of the selling pressure at. It's been the range for the past month. If you're looking at the hourly chart, we haven't been able to crack that 318.74 mark for very long. We have a couple times, but then we ended up selling right back into it. So my assumption, probably going to end below 318.75 or 74. Maybe below 316.67 by the end of the week for QQQ. But it's really going to depend on how earnings ends up coming out. But yeah, that QQQ put's already up about 15% from when I was looking to open it. So not worth it now. The break even's still about the same. Well, now the break even's 317.90, so the break even moved down significantly. Let's see for SPY. If SPY pulls back with QQQ, this one might pull back to about 412. So we might be able to buy like a 413 put for SPY. If that's any cheap. Let's see. It's going for $1 right now. Kind of same situation that you saw for QQQ. Ran into that volume block up top and then sold off right after. You're going to have another volume block between 412.80 and that 412.30 mark that I'm looking for. All right, now I'm looking at the 414 put instead. Maybe buying 2 of these at about 160 each for a break even of 412.40. Right now we're at 412.95, so it only had to drop about 50 cents from current prices. And I might even be able to get this cheaper. That's what it's looking like. Well, never mind. These prices are moving too quick. All right, I typed in my order for 155, so we'll see if we get filled there or if we have to update it. Probably going to have to update it higher. God damn. Now they're trading for 175. These options are just moving so quick. All right. I'll try to get them for 160 a piece. Doesn't look like that order is going to get filled here, but 165 might get filled if I leave it in for long enough. Okay. McDonald's is out of control right now. Let's see. Mickey D's. McD. Yeah, trading at 290 up 0.4%. So going higher and higher into this recession at a new all-time high. This one's trading at like a 9 price to earnings ratio, which is a little bit ridiculous. I think it could be an overcrowded trade at this point for McDonald's. Their earnings is coming up on 4/25, so like next week. So that might be why you're seeing this huge rally. I mean, considering that the price of McChicken is $1.69, and it probably costs them, I don't know, maybe 20 cents to make. They're making some good dollars right now. They're making some good money. Can't believe that the McChicken is $1.69. Or no, sorry, it's $2.69. Some places it's even worse, but yeah, McChicken is too damn expensive these days. KRE is rebounding right now. Let's see. Cree trading at 42, down 1%. Not really seeing much of a rebound going on. All right, I got that order in for the 414 put on SPY expiring today at 165, but it's still not getting filled. So just going to have to leave that out for today. Might have to miss out on the drop. They're already going for 190 now. So missed out on QQQ and SPY dropping, unfortunately. The VIX is at 1750, so not really seeing much love at all, even with the drop so far this morning. Nobody seems to be interested in 30-day expirations, which is how the VIX is calculated. Seems to be more weekly and like 0-day expiration options. So not seeing much love for the VIX, but maybe after the earnings season or the big earnings, then we could see some upside for the VIX, trading at 1750 right now. Abysmally low though. It's crazy. All right. Yeah, QQQ ended up reaching that 317.50 mark that I was looking for. So that would have been a nice quick trade, but didn't manage to get it in on time. We could assume that it could go to the next volume trough, for which would be 316.75. I would say the odds of that would be pretty low, though. So maybe we could even do a put credit spread, assuming over 316, 317 for today on QQQ. That could be a decent opportunity. Let's see what it's going for. If it's paying a good credit. Lately, credit spreads have been pretty shitty. Just because the markets don't really move a ton, so the risk-reward ratio on them hasn't been as great. But yeah, you're probably going to get some support roughly at about 316.67 for QQQ. Obviously, it could go below that if this volume starts to step up here at these high volume nodes between 317.60 and about 318.25 for QQQ right now. All right, these are going for 25 cents a piece. So you're risking 3 to make 1 for a put credit spread, assuming QQQ above 317 today. We saw 317 on Friday at about 12 o'clock. So wouldn't be too shocking to see it below that price. Let's check in on Schwab after their earnings. Currently trading at 51, so this one's actually staging a good recovery after dipping down to 48.60 at the low. I still think with the double miss that this is probably going to go below 50. Right now it's trading at 51. So if we can get that put debit spread for cheap by the end of the week, that could be a good trade too. SPY's back to 412.70, up 0.05. IWM is up 0.6%, so that's kind of signaling that we could see a rally for the rest of the market if the sentiment is risk on today. But it would have to continue that rally at 177.68 right now. I'd probably be willing to trade SPY to the upside, but maybe not QQQ. Usually QQQ and IWM trade hand in hand, but that correlation has been kind of broken in the last few weeks. It seems like they don't seem to trade with each other as often as they used to. SPY's at 52 on the RSI right now, so it's slightly bullish. And going back to the calls, 414 would probably be the top today, I would think. If I can get a break even of like 413.30, I think I'd be good with that. The 412 call is going for 150 right now, so you're close. So I might buy a 412 call in SPY expiring today for between like 135 and 140 if I can get it for that low. Based on the IWM going to 178, up 0.8% today, I think markets are starting to feel a little bit more risk on. And the RSI is firming up at 52 for right now. All right. So I'm looking at getting 2 of these at 140 right now, and I actually might get that order in. I actually got it cheaper than 140. Good. All right. So new options alert. This will be a day trade. Just opened a new SPY call expiring today, which is the 17th at 135-ish or 134 a piece, looks like. And strike price was 412. If we come down to 412.30, then I might not want to hold this trade for too long. But yeah, IWM still holding, but pulling back a little bit here. And then QQQ at 318. It's not really seeing too much change in the market so far today. But QQQ is leading the downside. IWM is leading the upside. KRE is going green now. Let's see. KRE. Down 0.3%, but yeah. Schwab is probably leading this one up. Schwab was the one that had their earnings this morning. So let's see. FRC is the main one to watch out for recently. It's still down 2% almost. Not sure of any other regional bank ETFs, but yeah, that SPY call is doing well right now, up 22 so far for two of them that I got for 134 a piece. McDonald's. Good old Mickey D's. I think somebody just panic sold out of that 412 call that I bought, because I got it for a way cheaper price than what they were asking for on the bid-ask spread. Not going to complain too much about it. I love getting cheap options. Yeah. We got a lot of volume up here at about 413. So you could see some resistance between about 413 and about 413.75 or so. We just flushed down right now. And right back up at 413 or 412.30. QQQ looks like it wants to sell, but there's that support at about 317.55 or so that it keeps getting bought up at. Starting to look a little bit more bearish under 50 RSI at 44 right now. I think I'll just cut my losses here. With IWM pulling back, that was my thesis as to why the markets would go up, and now that's not proven to be the case. So might as well just get out of the $20 loss instead of losing more. Let's see, they're going for 122 right now, 123, so I'll take about a 20 loss if I can get out of there. All right, got 256 to close that actually. So higher than I wanted again. Thank you, Robinhood. Closing options alerts, premium. Just cut losses on the 412 SPY puts expiring 417 at 128 each. It's about a $12 loss that I took there. IWM is just kind of trading at those higher levels though. So could go up, could go down. QQQ is coming back up right now, 318.74. And now SPY's at 413. Exit a little too early there. But yeah, buyers definitely stepped up at 317.60 for QQQ. Just no real definitive trend so far this morning. Or going above and below 50 RSI. So mixed market so far this morning. The only bullish market it's looking like in IWM as of right now at 62 for the RSI. That's the only bullish trend that I can see so far. Do I do daily butterflies? I think butterflies are best probably from close to open rather than from open to close. So whenever I do butterflies, I usually open them the day before at like 3 p.m. And then close them the next morning. And of course, you're not going to make as much money as if you were to hold them into close, because there's still a lot of time decay that needs to happen for the options to reach their max value or their max profit. But I prefer that method, and assuming that the markets will either go up like $1, down by $1, depending on if I'm bearish or bullish for the next day. And that's the method that I've been using for butterflies. I don't usually do like intraday butterflies, but rather swing butterflies, I guess. Just my personal preference, because you usually don't see more than like a 0.25% move each day, which is about $1 for SPY. So I'll usually just take the trade at the end of the day and assume SPY will either go up or down by $1. It's worked a couple times for me. I don't use it a lot, though. Yeah, well, you have Netflix reporting earnings tomorrow, so depending on how investors are feeling about Netflix going into earnings, could go either way. I think that there would be more anxiety around Netflix earnings than optimism, considering that they're trading at all-time highs almost, or yearly highs at least. So I would imagine that the markets would pull back. Bearish or bullish on snow. I haven't really paid too much attention to them, so don't have much of an opinion. Got some supports at 130, 155, and I cannot read that. $140.47. So you got some supports down here to keep it up. If you're bullish on it, it's currently at 49 RSI, so right now it's undecided. And their next earnings isn't until May 24th, so you have an entire month to wait on a big earnings report. But these are the price levels that I'm looking at: 140.47, 131.55 for supports. Then if you're bullish, resistance at 150.32 would be a good exit, and 160. All right, QQQ is coming back 0.2% now. IWM is pulling back slightly here, so maybe now you get the downside. If IWM slips, volume profile. Pull this back up. SPY's at break even now. So yeah, a bunch of mixed price action at the moment. A lot of dependence on IWM, I'm feeling like. The dollar index is above 102 now, 102.12. So that's bearish for the markets, fundamentally. The 10-year is still below 3.6, so not really much changed there. But I'm curious if the market turns around, if IWM will see the same pullback. If it does, I would think that it could slip to 176.70. Trading at 177.50 right now. IWM. It's still bullish at 54 RSI, but if the markets do pull back, I would think that would send it below 50. So let me see if I can get a break even at around 176.70. 178 put right now is going for 86 for a break even of 177.16. So that's pretty good. You're going to get a lot of buying pressure between 177.14 and where we're trading right now at 177.50. So I'm a little bit hesitant to make the trade at the moment. Given above 50 RSI, could still be some people buying into this, hoping that it's going to keep going up. But these are getting pretty cheap. 75 cents a piece, assuming IWM below 178 today. If I could get a break even of like 177.45, that would be even better. Or like 177.50. Then I'd be buying the 179 put, which is going for 150 right now. But again, it still doesn't seem to be a definitive trend in the market. We're just kind of flipping back and forth between positive, negative for SPY. QQQ is down 0.2%, which is where it started. And IWM doesn't want to choose much direction here yet. 155. All right, now it's getting moving. Yep. All right, I'm going to get two of these at 160. New options alert. This will be a day trade. Premium. Just opened a new IWM put expiring 4/17. I might have overpaid for it at 160 each, assuming IWM below 178. I wish I had got those at 150, but wishing don't get you much. $179 put, actually. Wrong strike price. 179. IWM put at 160. So my break even for that, 179 minus 160 I paid for it at 177.40. So about 20 cents below where we're trading right now. So it doesn't need to move much. Anyway, I could do analysis for predictions on AT&T earnings. Wasn't looking to trade that one for this week, but let me look into it. There's going to be some supports at about 1970 based on the low volume at around that price level. You're going to get some resistance at about 2005 from the low of this gap down. So let me draw up some sort of support and resistance for you. Low for this candle was 2005. You're looking at about 1965 or about 1967 as a support level based on the low volume here. I'd start it right here, so 1967. All right, where else do we got? Let me take this volume profile off. Actually, we'll keep it. You're going to get some resistance at about 2055. Let me see. Yeah, 2055. I would go based on the gap down here, which was the low at about 2040. All right, so those are some support and resistance levels for you. 1967, 2005, 2040, and the expected range for this week for AT&T is a whopping 90 cents in either direction. So it's either going to stay above about $19 down here, or below $20.80 up here for this week. So there's your expected range. You're going to get some more support at the bottom of this gap down. 1820, sorry. High was 1912, actually. $19.12. So that's about all the support and resistance I would probably come up with. You have some at about 2060, but it's basically the same as that 2040 mark. And then maybe 2070 or so would be your last resistance up top, 2070. So support levels at 1967, 1912, and then resistance at 2005, 2040, and 2070. Let me take the volume nodes or the volume profile off of this right quick. All right, and their earnings is expected to come in at, well, it doesn't say here. I'll go to Earnings Whispers. Earningswhispers.com. T is a ticker symbol. 60-cent earnings per share, based on Earnings Whisper, and 57 cents from Wall Street. 30.27 billion expected revenue. Last quarter, they did 61-cent earnings. A year ago, they were doing 77-cent earnings. I think AT&T could still do pretty well, so I think that they would beat their earnings. Revenue, not really too sure about. Let me see. I'll go to T earnings history. Look at the revenue. Looks like IWM is headed higher right now, so I might have to exit that trade. But let's see. That's not the data I wanted. Where is it? Odd. Can't find what I usually use. Is it MarketBeat? Yeah, marketbeat.com. The earnings has been declining for the last couple years since the beginning of 2021. Interesting enough. Is there any seasonality to this quarter in Q4? Doesn't really seem to be any correlation. Revenue, it's been kind of flat. Descending actually. 3130 at the last report. So I think that they might be able to beat earnings. Revenue, I'm not too sure about. So I would guess that the stock would stay above. Well, you only have like 50-cent strike prices, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. But I would assume that the stock would stay above like 1950, maybe 19 if you're being conservative, and do a put credit spread there. And their earnings is 420. So I think that's Thursday. Today's the 17th, 18th would be Tuesday, 19th, Wednesday, Thursday would be the 20th. So you still have a few days to wait on that too. So you could wait for the markets to decline a little bit if they do in the coming days and take that trade then versus now since it's trading a little bit higher. But my guess, beat earnings, stay above about 19, maybe 1950. IWM is just going back and forth right now. Let's see. Currently trading at 177.60. So you got that resistance at about 177.65 that it's pausing to pass up. Volume profile again. QQQ is going positive almost again. So really not much decision made in the market yet. Slow morning so far. I'm going to have some resistance at about 177.75 on IWM if it does get rejected. And then you get that 177.65 mark that it's just going up and down. The bid-ask spread on these are kind of wide, 130 and 140 for this IWM 179 put. That's the benefits of trading QQQ and SPY versus IWM and DIA. It has a lot more trading volume, so it eats less into your bid-ask spreads. The bid-ask spreads eat less into your profits or losses. All right, looks like we're headed up for IWM. Here, they're going for 130. I bought them at 160, so that'll be about a 60 loss there. Unless we pull right on back, but seems more likely to go up. It's above 50 RSI. And QQQ is doing okay flat right now. Might be able to negotiate a little bit of a better price, though, and take a smaller loss. We'll see. U.S. Treasury publishes a potential evasion of Russian oil price cap through Eastern Siberia, Pacific Ocean pipelines and ports. Not really going to change the markets with that news. All right. We're just bouncing around here. Usually these low volume levels would trigger one direction or the other, but I'm not getting it quite yet. I'm surprised that the markets would be feeling risk on ahead of earnings this week. And with the 10-year at 3.6 almost, with the dollar at 102. But markets are more momentum based, it seems like, lately than they are fundamentally based. And the momentum right now for IWM is looking up. All right, these are going for 135. So I can reduce my loss to 50 instead of 60. I think that's reasonable. Unless we do pull back here, but again, I'm betting against a trend of a 50 RSI, so don't want to make the trend my enemy. Okay. Yeah, looks like we're gonna get out of 135 here. Might have to negotiate up to 132. It's just not making a decision at that level here. 177.80 or so just keeps getting rejected by and then coming right back up once it hits 177.70. So it's in like a 10-cent range. Very frustrating. Let's see. Let's check the other indices. QQQ coming up on that 318.74 mark again, which is about break even for it. Could be some resistance, or if we do break through, it could be 319.70 by the end of the day. And then SPY 413 right now almost, and coming up on that resistance between 413 and 413.50. So a lot of resistance right now to go up, but the trend is positive. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get out at like 125 to 130 now. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, 130. QQQ just went negative again. So Looks like iron condors might be the best bet since the markets are just so indecisive so far this morning. If that trend continues in indecisiveness. It only needs to drop about 50 cents, but there's so much support down here with all this volume. It doesn't look promising for me. Let's see, where is the Dow is up 0.15%, so Dow is basically flat. What a boring market morning, yeah. Hopefully the afternoon is more exciting, for sure. For sure. But yeah, not really moving much in either direction for anything besides IWM. And IWM can't make a decision at the highs. I guess since I'm pretty deep in the money, it doesn't really matter too much to hold this unless the momentum really starts to break. But with all that volume over top, I don't think that it would break that hard. So hard to make a decision here. I just wish that we would get some definitive price action. All right. Got that high at about 178 for IWM that it's looking at. I'm gonna get out of these at 125, I guess. Spy back below 413 again. QQQ down 0.15. Huh. QQQ just keeps going back and forth between break even and down like 0.2%. So not really much move. Not really much move at all. Oh, here we go. Now SPY's pulling back almost red, 0.1%. So hopefully we get the sell-off starting here. It's 10:30, so about an hour into market open. Volume's probably going to start to slow down though. And you're just trading in that tiny little range, 177.75 to 178. For IWM. I think with the rest of the indices falling that would pull it back though, so we'll see. Ping pong. Why is IWM such a big factor in which direction the market goes? Mentioned them quite a bit. So IWM is the Russell 2000. It's a bunch of small caps And whenever people are buying into small caps, they are riskier stocks to buy, especially going into a recession because these companies don't make a lot of money. They don't have a lot of capital available to them. So if people are buying into small caps, they could be buying in the potential of a company going bankrupt. There's a higher chance of a small cap going bankrupt than a mega cap company that can just offer their shares up in order to come up with cash. So that's the problem with IWM and why this is probably the leader for the market. So if people are buying into small caps, they're feeling more risky. So I would think that that would lead the markets up, but QQQ is not really feeling that. Still down 0.2%, not really changed much. All right, these are going for 115 to 120 now. And you got that resistance right about where it's trading. VIX is down to 1720. Jeez, I didn't think that I would see a VIX 17 handle, but definitely playing out. The dollar index and the 10-year up, though, that's telling me that the markets are feeling more risk off. Well, I guess that would be a risk on if people are selling out of bonds. So I guess it makes sense for IWM to be up today if people are selling out of bonds. If the fear is recession, at least. Yeah, we're at 178.05, so these are going for cheap now. Everything's just flat, but IWM today. Gonna get some selling pressure maybe here between 178 and about 178.25. So we'll see if this changes direction, but my guess, probably not. Definitely bullish at 65 RSI. So I don't want to go against that trend. I do not want that smoke. So I'm going to get out of these at 120. Maybe 115. More sellers there at 178, I guess. On that candle, at least. Profit takers is what it's looking like so far. Now QQQ is down 0.25%. So you could see sentiment changing for IWM. Still 60 RSI though, so that's just doesn't seem a promising hold for me. Let's watch though. There was a lot of people selling at 178. Nobody wanted to buy there. And back up. Back and forth, back and forth. All right, yeah. Let's see if they want to buy at 178 now. Yep, looks like it. 178.05, so slightly higher. I'm gonna get out at 115. The ask is 115 now, so I won't get filled there unless I just leave it in for a minute and it pulls back. But yeah, if we can get a good rally going for IWM, you might be seeing 178.63 towards the end of the day. But it doesn't seem like a lot of people want to buy above 178 right now. I think it's just because QQQ is down, but hard to really say here. Trend is definitely not your friend if you're betting to the downside, though. You're looking at higher lows down here, higher highs to the top. You're looking at 64 RSI. So it's hard to hold the downside trade. Just want to get out at a decent price, though. That's the hardest part, especially with these huge fluctuations, like 25 cents. Curious why IWM is headed higher, though, if the rest of the market is falling. Doesn't really make much sense for people to want to buy high beta, high risk stocks right now. Which position am I holding? IWM 179 put. Right now the trend is going against me. 59 RSI and seeing higher lows, higher highs. All right, they're going for 130 apiece. I think I'll make the decision there. 135 now. Oh, so now they're headed up. 412 put on SPY, expiring the 21st. Let's see. SPY at 412. It's trading at 412.25, so you're basically at the money right now. Expiring on the 21st, so this Friday, I think. Depends how much you paid for it and what your break even is. My assumption, we're probably just going to stay range bound. And for SPY, the range has been above, the last couple of days it's been above 410. And then if you go back a few weeks, it'll be 406. So if you finally see the break to 410, you could make that, you could turn that into a profit pretty quick. I would probably want to get out once we hit 410, just because that's the new range that we found ourselves in, between 410 and 416 or so. And then if you want to take on the risk, you could hold it between 410 and 406, but I would say it's less likely to be the case. But right now, QQQ is down 0.4%. IWM is 160 or 177.67. Still up 0.7, so still leading the market really well. But QQQ definitely saw decent pullback. Naked position or spread, so it's just a regular put. 179. Just a long 179 put. They're going for 140 right now. I bought them for 160, so I ended up overpaying for it. But my guess was that IWM would pull back to 177.30 based on the volume. So that would mean that I would break even down at those prices. At 177.40 would be my break even. Just slipped below 177.65, 53 RSI. They're going for 140, so I'd be taking about a $40 loss since I bought two. I think it's just going to be a boring day, though. You paid 226, so your break even is a little bit below 410. So yeah, I would probably take profits. If SPY sees 410 of the next couple of days, either today, doesn't seem likely today, but if it does happen today, you could take profits, or tomorrow maybe with Netflix earnings. All right, we might get a switch in momentum now for IWM, but doesn't seem promising as of yet. 51 RSI, so still need to see it come down a little bit more. QQQ is down almost 0.5% now, though, so that's leading the market to the downside. If IWM flips negative, that would be pretty big, since it was up so much, like 0.9% this morning. These options don't have a lot of extrinsic value to them at all. Let's see, 179, they're going for 163, 170. So you're only getting like, it's trading at 177.40. 199 or 179 minus 177.40. It's like 10 cents of extrinsic value that these have. Hardly anything at all. But now we're going below 50 RSI. It's going to be a lot of volume stepping in here between the 177.50 down to about 177.14 though. So likelihood of kind of pausing around here is pretty high. UVIXI is at an all-time low. Not too surprising. UVIXI loses its value whenever the VIX trades flat or goes down. So UVIXI at a new low. Not too shocking. With the VIX currently at 1750. UVIXI's at 390. I think probably by the end of the week you could see a pop in the VIX. Maybe for UVIXI back to, I'd say like 420, 450 or so. Probably not going to be much of a gain, but could be something just with Netflix and Tesla earnings this week. QQQ is still down half, and IWM just got that support right about 177.30, 177.40. Again, that range of volume right there is where you're gonna get some people buying it up. And then you got resistance at about 177.65. I wish these options had a little bit more extrinsic value to them. That would make this trade a lot easier, but I guess since it's the same day expiration, it makes it harder to have any extrinsic value to them. IWM sees some pretty wild swings, though. I mean, on Friday, you saw it go 179 all the way down to 175. A 5-point move almost. 4-point move on a $170 stock. Like 2% swing intraday. So, surprised that they don't have much extrinsic value to them. It's like 5-10 cents of extrinsic value. back above 177.65 now. So not selling off just yet. QQQ got some support at that price level. Let's see what it is. 317. That's what it's looking like, which was the low right before the rally that we saw end of day Friday. So definitely watch out for 317 for QQQ if it goes below. The call credit spreads they're up about $50 right now. I opened 10 of them at 45. They're going for 40, so they're losing value pretty quick actually, considering that my expiration date is on Friday. So that's nice. The Dow is almost negative too. Just up 0.05%, 0.06% right now. So let's watch QQQ, see what this does. And IWM around this 177.65 mark. It might ping pong around it between 177.90 and 177.35. How do I feel about the QQQ put I got last week? Still holding. I got a QQQ call credit spread. That's the bearish trade that I have for QQQ right now. Still feeling good about that. With earnings this week, it's up by $30 so far. So still going to hold it going into Netflix earnings tomorrow. Then Tesla earnings on Wednesday. I might close some of them or all of them before that would be my guess. So probably going to close Wednesday morning, I'm thinking, after the reaction to Netflix earnings. I think trading close to that 319 mark ahead of big tech earnings is too risky for QQQ to be trading so high right now. More likely to see downside. All right, you're going to get some resistance for IWM here. Again, about 177.90 or so. Hopefully we can ping pong back to 177.35 and get out of this trade, but QQQ not really moving much after that drop yet. Taking any Bank of America trades tomorrow? No. Not watching Bank of America. I've got three stocks that I'm watching for earnings: Tesla, Netflix, and what was the third one? Let me see. Notion. Goldman Sachs tomorrow in the pre-market would be my 3 trades for this week on earnings. Looking more and more bullish on IWM now. Shame. 60 RSI bounced at about 50 at 52. Bulls are convincing me out of this trade, so cut losses at about 120 maybe. They're going for 114 to 122 right now. Unless you get a drop right now for QQQ, that would be the only thing that I think would bring IWM down. But if QQQ just keeps trading flat, IWM has that room to rally. Okay. Yeah, they're going for 118 at the bid, so I might be able to get out here at 120. Still watching QQ down 0.4% though. And waiting on that. But yeah, watching Goldman Sachs, Netflix, Tesla earnings. And these are my price targets that I'm looking for. For Goldman, if they beat earnings, beat revenue, 350. Beat earnings, miss revenue, 345. Miss earnings, beat revenue, 335. And then miss revenue, miss earnings, 325. For Netflix, looking at 350, 335, 320, and 315. And then Tesla, 195, 190, 180, and 175. Based on a miss or a beat on the earnings and revenue. I think Tesla is likely to either come in line or slightly miss on the earnings. I think even if they do beat earnings, but just by a little bit, if they come down from last quarter, that could be pretty troublesome for their stock, just because, you know, Tesla investors want to see record quarter after record quarter, and if they can't get that, then I feel like they kind of lose confidence in the company. And considering that they dropped the prices of their vehicles by 20% and they only did like 5% more sales, it seems almost inevitable that they would have a decrease in their earnings per share. Cat put credit spread, making some coins, looking in to get out. Let's see, Cat. Caterpillar. Yeah. It's doing pretty well the last couple of days, up from 216 to 226, $10 move. Pretty significant jump. They got a dividend coming up at 120 per share. So you're probably going to get some people buying into the ex-dividend date, wanting to get that sweet paycheck. It's not a lot of volume for Caterpillar, though. I wouldn't want to trade spreads on Cat just because the volume is so rough, only 500,000 shares traded. I would imagine that your bid-ask spread would be ridiculous, but if you can get profit out of it, I would. Let's see. Just got a notification. Oil futures are coming down. Wow, 1% for oil down today at 82 a barrel. Not bad. Oil seems to have really stabilized at about 80 to 83 a barrel, though, after the OPEC cuts. All right, here we go again. Maybe you're oversimplifying IWM. It has 15% healthcare weighting and small banks that are recovering. Yeah, it could be. I would imagine that there's a lot of small banks in this ETF, so that could be why you're getting a decent rally. For KRE is up 0.14%. And then healthcare, what's the ticker for healthcare? XLV is down 0.25, so that's more neutral than what we're seeing for IWM. Healthcare would do well in a recession, though, so makes sense that that would be up, but looks like the healthcare ETF was actually down today. And then the small banks slightly up this morning. I think that they pose more risk than the large banks, though. They'll bail out the depositors for the small banks, but they're not going to bail out the stocks, the executives, and the bondholders. But yeah, we're not really getting much decisive price action in the last hour or so. So just burning time right now. Not great for the extrinsic value that's already so low. And QQQ is getting a little bit of a recovery. Doesn't want to seem to go below 317 again. Tried it, but didn't like it. All right, I'll get out at 120 for these 179 puts. Maybe I can get 125, but I doubt it. All right, yeah, I got 124. So, looks like IWM could get a recovery with QQQ finding that support of 317, so I am out of that trade. Closing options alerts, premium. Just cut losses for the 179 IWM put expiring today is a 417 at 120 each. And I picked them up at 160, so 80 loss. But yeah, not really moving much for the market. The only thing that's moving decently so far this morning is QQQ, but it's only 0.3%, and it got that support at 317. So Could take a 316 put credit spread, assuming that everything's just going to trade flat. Or SPY above 412. All right. SPY above 412 would give us only 26 cents to assume SPY won't go down 50 cents. Yeah, these credit spreads just aren't worth it to me. You could turn it into an iron condor, or maybe assume that it'll be below 414 and get a little bit extra credit for that. 40 cents to assume SPY between 412 and 414. It's not as bad of a trade, but still kind of a tight range there. You're still assuming SPY above 412 for 40 cents, so you get a 1.5 to 1 risk reward ratio. But doesn't seem to be much good trades left on the table today. Next support for SPY would be about 411.65. It's about 70 cents away. I don't think I'd be willing to take that trade though. So I think that's all the trades I got for y'all today, and I will catch y'all tomorrow at 9:30. See you, everybody.